We're going to start working on these rocker boxes now, prepping them for paint and making sure they're flat. So you want to get off as much of the gasket as possible, and since we're going to surface these to make sure they're flat, you need to take the studs out. And if you don't have a stub remover like this handy dandy one here, you can just use a double nut it. Stick a couple of nuts on there and they should twist right out. If they're not, then you might have to heat it up a little bit. You could do that with a torch or a heat gun. Put a little heat into them. These ones, I'm not even using a ratchet on them. So these came right out. We got lucky there. Well, don't say we got lucky because we haven't done the last one yet. And that's going to be the tight one. So let me grab a wrench for this thing. Get that last one out of there and we'll finish getting this gasket material off of here. Sealer or whatever was on there. And you just want to use razor blade on these things. That's what I use. If you got a gasket scraper, use it. Just be careful on not gouging it. You want to get everything off of it as much as possible, or not as much, get everything off of it. As far as old gasket or sealer or whatever's on there. I know I put sealer on here before, so my fault for doing it. But didn't have any gaskets and needed to seal it, so didn't have new gaskets. I'm not done cleaning that one. I'm just skipping over this one for right now. I will say this, don't use them roll lock discs that go to the end of your drill or wire wheel on these things unless you're using really, even then, don't use a wire wheel. You'll screw these things up and they'll never seal again. No matter how much silicone or free bond or whatever else you put on there. And since these things are probably warped, we'll go over there and do that in a couple minutes once I get all the stuff off of here. Put a little brake clean on there. Now you can use a Scotch-Brite pad on there, just doing it by hand. You're not gonna harm it doing it this way. This is an ultra fine, which is the gray. I'm out of red, which probably need red on this thing to get some of this stuff off, but we'll look at what we got here. While I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you a story about Yamaha Bond, Honda Bond, Kawasaki Bond, whatever. They're all copies of, there's a company called 3 Bond that actually came up with the formula for that 3 Bond 1104, I think it is, or 1121 or something like that, which is basically Yamaha Bond or Honda Bond or whoever makes it. So that company came up with it. long before there was ever a Yama bond. And I think Yamaha copied it first, and Honda did, and then all the rest of them. But what happened was 3Bond actually had to sue anybody that was making it. Of course, nobody had ever heard of 3Bond before, but everybody's heard of Yama Bond. And you know, this is years ago. Of course, the patents run out a long time ago, but anyway, it got to be where they went to court, and you know, 3Bond wasn't gonna tell them they couldn't make it. What they did was the jury or court or whatever awarded them, you know, so much money for every bottle, every tube of Yama Bond or whoever was Honda or whoever was making it sold. So they got money out of it. Of course, I use it now, but I get it at Napa because Permatex probably owns it now because that's who's making it for Napa. Moto Seal is what they call it. That's probably the best stuff to use on engine stuff because it doesn't string like silicone does, and it seals the way you put it on. And I don't have anything I'm actually using it on right now, but you basically put some on there and smear it while it's wet, and give it 5-10 minutes before you assemble it till it goos up a little bit, starts to dry, and it never really dries completely. But it's a damn fine sealer for that kind of stuff. Used to put the cases together. Certain things that you need to use sealer on, it's perfect for that. Had a guy working for me one time, place where I was a shop foreman at, and for whatever reason he liked to use Indian head on everything. And if you've ever used Indian head, it's like permanent. It's very hard to get off, and it dries hard. So anything you went behind to take apart that he had done, you'd be fighting with it to get the gasket off. So pretty much had to ban him from using Indian head gasket shellac because it was very old formula, very, very tough stuff. So that's about enough of that. Let's see how this thing cleans up now. Nothing's worse than pulling something apart where guys have put silicone on stuff and you pull it off and there's 3-inch piece of silicone hanging inside the engine there. Or you got something that's got an intermittent oiling problem to certain things, and you go taking it apart to see what's going on, and you start finding little stringers of silicone everywhere. Be through everything. Absolutely horrible. Okay, now we're gonna go see how flat this thing is, and we'll see how it does. I'm starting off with a 320 sandpaper just to see how it does. 320 is pretty good. And it's about where you want to start at anyway. Then all I've got here is a sheet of glass with my sheet of glass with a piece of paper over it. And we're just going to take that and kind of move it around there. Now you could really do this on a surface plate, would be better, but I don't have a surface plate anymore, and as little as I do this, a sheet of glass works good. So you're going to sand it a little bit and then take a look at it and see where it's hitting at. You can see that it's not really hitting here in the middle any yet. If you can do this, you want to do it in kind of a figure 8. In other words, you're not sanding it back and forth. You kind of move it around while you're doing it. think this sheet of glass was like $4 at Lowe's there or something like that. It's cheap. But we got our center section here that's still kind of low. So you see it's polishing off here. Now, if you need to, if you can't really tell where it's hitting at, you can take some Dykem bluing and put on there to be able to see it. I might put some on there just so you can see how it does. But that would mean I'd have to go find where my Dykem is. Just a metal dye, layout fluid, if you want to call it. That's what they call it. Looks like it's starting to hit in the middle now. And this just isn't for rocker valve cover gaskets. You do it for oil pumps, do it for all kinds of stuff that has to be flat. Kind of the poor man's way of doing it, but not everybody has really expensive equipment or the knowledge to be able to use it. You can also just take a marker and put on here. Let me do that. I got a marker right here, since you might be able to see it better. How much we're actually taking off of here. Now I am gonna strip the paint on these and repaint them. You might be able to see that better, I think. You see, I've just put some marker on there, Sharpie. And then we'll sand it a little bit, see how much we're out. Yeah, we're not horrible. Still a little low over here in the middle, right here at the corners. But it's definitely coming off there. And really, you could be here all day doing this, depending on how crooked it is. We're definitely getting there, though. Not quite yet, but it is getting flatter. And you're not pressing down on this, you're just using the weight of the part to do it. You press down on it and you're going to make it crooked. And this is just wet or dry sandpaper. You always use it dry for this. Somebody else might do it different. We want it flat as could be. Now, if you have to do a really big part, that you ain't gonna have wet or dry sandpaper that big. But you can get a big sheet of glass and use lapping compound, like Clover compound or something like that. Like start off with the coarser grit, use it. And typically when I say a larger part, that would be something like maybe a primary cover or a cam cover to do it with. Something like, clutch cover, primary cover, something like that. That you also want flat. Haven't had to do one of those in quite a number of years. Of course, if you had a surface block, you wouldn't want to put lapping compound on a surface block. So just get a big sheet of glass, it's perfect. Just get one cut to whatever size you need. When you're not using it, put it someplace safe in the shop there where it's not going to get broken or knocked over or whatever. I think that's pretty good right there. And you can lay a straight edge across there and make sure you're getting it, but this is just as good looking at it visually that you can see it. Because sometimes even with a straight edge, the thing could be crooked like this. And straight edge, it might look like it's flat, but this is a better way of showing if it's this way, or if these edges are rolled out or something. But I think we're looking pretty good here. Yeah, I think that's pretty decent right there. Let me put some more marker on there and we'll see. This is the exciting part of motorcycle mechanics right here. It's exciting, isn't it? Okay, let's see how it does now. We know that this area is pretty good and this area is pretty good, but it still looked like it was a little low in the middle there. Like the box was bowed pretty good. Yeah, we're still high on the ends. Just slightly. So you can be here for a while sanding on this thing before it ever actually starts to straighten up. As you can see, it's like from here over is where it's high at, and from here over this side is where it's high at. Pretty much from right there over here, and from right here over there. We're gonna have to get this off from pretty much here over to here. They're basically the center section only. Okay, let's see how we're doing now. If I had any, I'd probably started off with like a 280 instead of a 320, but I'd gone from 280 to 320, and then if I wanted finer, I'd go finer, but all I had left was 320 and 600, and I think that's probably almost it, really. We've got a very little bit in the center there, but I'll finish this up, but you guys get the idea there. What you're doing, you're just making it flat. And then on the cylinder head, I'm not doing the cylinder head. What I do with the head is I take an India stone and kind of stone the cylinder head, which is more than likely not, they're hardly ever out on the rocker box side on anything. They can be, but you do the same thing. You take a stone and just kind of sand it around on the head there to check it. And you can see if it's got high or low spots in there. Chances are it doesn't, but we'll check it anyway later. Anyway, that's it. It's Labor Day weekend. I'm going to go eat some lunch and plop down in the chair and watch some TV and probably come back here later on this afternoon when it starts to cool off some. Hope everybody has a damn fine day. Guys, take care. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking all that stuff and comments. Appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great weekend.